We have the Bills and the Patriots in Foxborough Monday nights.
Monday Night
Oh,
Football.
I miss Hank Williams Jr. already.
Are you ready for some football?
uh,
I'm ready for Thursday, but anyway.
yeah, for real. This was much closer of a game than what the final result was, to be honest.
Yeah, it was actually, I know the Bills lost, but it was a pretty impressive defensive showing altogether. I mean, they
Yeah,
held the Patriots to 20 total points on offense, pretty much shut Gronkowski down, but no one really had a phenomenal game on the
no,
Patriots side. Uh, Tom Brady was held, he got picked, which was a big deal,
yeah,
but he actually was held for under 300 yards. So, like we mentioned in a previous video, if it seems like nowadays to have a great game, you need at least 300 yards. So he had 277. So and one touchdown, one interception. Uh, but here's the telling thing: he was 20 for 39. He barely completed 50% of his passes.
yeah.
So I'm thinking this is statistically got to be the worst game of the season. It's got to be.
Oh, definitely. It and Patriots keep on winning, but honestly, I feel like this is the third week in a row that they haven't been showing like this amazingly aggressive offense that they've been having pretty much all season and
They
everything.
look they look beatable, is
Yeah,
what I think you
yeah.
would say, and
They're like
I agree.
like mortal. They look vulnerable
They
finally.
they do, and wouldn't it be funny if they lost to Denver and not even because of Peyton Manning,
Yeah, yeah, that would be kind of weird.
Brock Osweiler takes
You hit
out.
it definitely right on the head too. If anybody's gonna stop the Patriots, stop Gronk, and
Yeah,
then Julian Edelman was already out, and then Amendola goes out too. So the two star receivers that uh, Tom Brady keeps relying on are gone, and then when you have your you know possibly the best tight end in football,
right.
would you shut him down on top of the run game? Although, Wisconsin boy James White had two touchdowns
Yeah,
as
that was
despite Dion Lewis and everything, which really contributed a lot. But I mean, you still gotta have.
Deion Lewis is done too.
Oh yeah, well that's what I mean is that despite Dion Lewis being gone, you put in
Yeah,
James White in the mix
right.
and he picks up the pace for him, which definitely helps like a lot. But I mean, they still stopped LeGarrette Blount, who's like their running back that they're supposed to have, and so for the most part, you stop the run game, you stop Gronk, Edelman, uh, is they're all gone, and so they looked beatable. If you want to know what my opinion, where the Bills lost that game, is that punt where they fumbled it, and then the
Yeah,
Patriots got at the 10-yard line because momentum was still kind of in the Bills' favor at that point.
I
They're
think that
still
really
behind, but
was the turning point of the game, and
yeah,
it actually got kind of close towards the end because it was like, did he? They had a play where they overturned him going out of bounds. Like they had it to where he did go out of bounds, and originally said he did. And
yeah,
then actually the way the game ended was pretty weird because it was like a second left on the clock, and um, I thought the receiver had gone out of bounds myself. It was odd, but I mean at that point it would have been a long shot anyway for them. I'm not like really wanting to say that that's the Bills had it, they got robbed or whatever.
right,
But I mean the Patriots got flat out robbed on the call. We were talking about this is actually a good place to bring this up. We were
yeah.
talking about referee calls before in the past few weeks. This is the worst officiated game I've seen all season, and
Oh,
like
by
easily,
far.
it was terrible.
You know what was the weirdest thing about the officiating in this game? Didn't it feel like almost every single penalty that every referee had to like group up and discuss it for some
Yeah, it looked
reason?
like the replacement refs out there. Like
Yeah.
they didn't know the damn rules, and they're having to talk about it on the field.
Even like when they would announce the calls, whoever the head ref was, I don't remember his name or anything, but whoever the head ref was, like, not only did he like tell like what the rule calling was, but like he like was explaining it like as if he was reading it right out of the book, like as if that's what they had to huddle up for. Like somebody brought a rule book and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the rule." It's like, well, just say what it says here. Type of like, I mean, he's going in like amazingly depth of
You know
what he
what?
had to
And,
call, and it's like,
and
do you not know the rules? I mean, why do you
no,
have to?
that's I would actually disagree. I thought that was the only thing that was sort of impressive because like they didn't actually bring the rule book out there, and I actually thought that the one thing they did well was they did explain why they were doing what they were doing pretty well, even if some of it was bullshit. You know, I was, I thought he was very articulate. I guess is the word that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
As I try to be articulate.
Well, and
I thought he did a good job of explaining the calls that were made, even if I thought there were some bad calls. And it's not even thought; there were definitely some bad
oh yeah,
calls.
there's no question about it. Uh, we've been discussing this all year long. There's always one game out of every week that was just like, whoa, what is going on with these calls and everything? And I don't know. It doesn't. To me, it seems like since the replacements refs, this has been the worst officiating
Yeah.
of any NFL season. And
You know,
like we've discussed in the past about making an entire late call about it, like talking about, and we we discussed it, and I think a big reason why we didn't do it is because like we can bitch and complain all we want. It's not going to change how the ruling of the game was. It's not going to change the outcome of any of the games that happen. But I think this needs to be at least observed. Like at least
well,
someone like Roger Goodell or just
yeah, and it
somebody's
has been
gotta.
observed by the main office. And actually, I was reading an article before the Monday night game. It was on Sunday, and it was talking about the NFL is considering breaking up refereeing crews and rotating them out because
Mm,
there's been so much inconsistency in between crews. And the idea is that if you break up the crews and bring more consistency if you have a rotating staff in the crews instead of just working with the same crew all season long.
yeah.
So that's an idea that's being floated, and I think it's a good. Like it might not work, but I think it's a good shot at something. I mean, you got to try something,
It's
right?
better than what's been going on, at
Yeah,
least.
definitely. And that was like I said before this the worst game all season. I think
Yeah.
they were already talking about. So I think it's something that should happen. If they did decide to do it, I'm all for it.
Oh, definitely. The scary thing is, there's already been a couple games very early in the season where, because of bad calls, it did actually change the outcome of the final game. I think it was the Seahawks and the Detroit game was one of them that
Yeah,
speaks
yeah,
out,
yeah.
where it was one bad call actually resulted in a win for the Seahawks, which a good chance. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was a pretty damn good chance that they might have not won that game if it wasn't for that one call at the end. And the scary thing is, so far, I mean, we're going to week 12, and nothing's really necessarily gotten better for it. So the question is, when we hit the playoffs, is this going to happen? Is there going to be one game
I
where,
mean, it happened last year, right? There were close calls that decided games.
yeah, exactly.
Questionable calls, especially on what is a catch, what isn't a catch. That's something that needs to be resolved with more
Oh
clarity.
my God, yeah. I like to listen to Jim Rome in the morning on the radio. I really think he has a great program. I'm not trying to like
Plug-in.
plug him or anything, but I do really like what Jim Rome has to say. And he actually had kind of a segment a few weeks ago where he talked about this: what is a call, or what is a catch, what's not a catch. And he makes an excellent point, because he's like, man, when I grew up watching football, if the ball was in the guy's hands and his feet were on the ground, it's a catch. Like,
Right.
there's no forward momentum, there's no, or like, even if he's going to the ground, if the ball's in his hands and he has the ball when he hits the ground, it's a catch. And it should just be that simple. Like, I honestly feel that it's gone almost too overboard of maybe too many rules in a way. Like, I mean, sometimes it can happen, and maybe this is also a discussion that needs to be said. And like, sometimes you don't have to make it this crazy, like, whatever. what's forward momentum, what's or like the Golden Tate catch, that went to the end
Yeah,
zone. That like was that a fumble? Wasn't it? Was it an interception? Was it a touchdown? And everything like it needs to be. If it was just simple, if like
Dez called it.
yeah, oh yeah, you're talking about from last playoffs and everything. Yeah, and like, but like that's what it comes down to. I mean, if it's as simple as like did he cross the goal line? Was the ball in his hands? If and it's a catch, and that's a touchdown. Instead of like stopping the game for 10 minutes to discuss it and review it and all this other stuff, it's like it doesn't need to go this far. It really doesn't.
Right. And
And
I understand that they need to have like a conference, and maybe this season, okay, maybe they're not gonna be able to fix this in the middle of the season, but during the off season, they need to
yeah,
take a serious look and get this shit straight.
yeah,
Like, they need to resolve this issue as much as they can once and for all. Like, you can't tell me they've done all they can do on this issue, and I think that they will look at it because the NFL has been pretty good about constantly trying to fix rules and keep the game competitive. So I mean, that was part of the basis for the whole field goal rule, the extra point kick change and all that.
yeah.
Just putting the kicker farther back, and then safety is always the thing. I don't know. I just feel like it's something. I have faith that they'll examine this. Now, will they come out with the right decision? I don't know, but I do at least have faith that they will seriously examine the rule because I think the NFL takes itself very seriously.
Oh,
Clearly,
definitely.
whenever they're finding people over the most ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
So the NFL is gonna look at this, and it's kind of funny that we spent most of this game video talking about penalty calls, but I mean, I feel like that was the story of this game
It
was
truly
the,
was.
the calls, which is never a good thing,
Yeah.
ever. You never want people to be talking about the refs after a game. I mean,
Well, you know
it's
what?
because it's never going to be a good thing.
This entire video is actually case in point. If you have a an NFL game and all anybody can talk about is the calls that happen from that game from the refs, that's not a
Right.
good sign. That's it's never a good thing to come out of where that's the most you can take out of that game is these bad calls that someone made.
I mean,
And
seriously, y'all, if y'all didn't see that game, like, go look up the highlights. I'm sure that ESPN or Fox Sports has put together. It was a Monday night game. So I guess it'd be ESPN. It's got
yeah,
footage,
even NFL Network will have something.
right? Bad ref calls, like the highlights of the game. Yeah, that's all you're gonna hear about. It was bad. We're not even exaggerating at all. It was the worst game I've seen since the famous Fail Mary game. Like, honestly, I feel pretty comfortable saying that.
It's pretty damn close.
It's the worst game since then. I'm not saying it's worse than that. It's just the worst game since then.
Oh, in that case, yeah, I'll agree because it didn't cause like the actual
Right?
outcome of
They,
it,
right,
but
right.
there definitely was a giant controversy of what happened during it, and yeah, I would say that's a pretty safe bet to say.
As far as long term with these two teams, the Bills, pretty were they 5-5 now?
Yeah,
They have a hope for the wild card slot, and you know what? I picked them to get it, and I think that they're a game behind the Steelers right now. I think
mm-hmm.
the Steelers have 6 wins, and I'm not entirely sure on the schedule, but they're definitely still in the mix. It's going to be interesting. And then as far as the story of the Patriots, they're still in the future.
Right. Well, for the Bills going to the wild card hunt, uh, what they've been doing well is with Tyrod Taylor being back. He's
Right.
still managing the game very well for himself. Um, I feel like LaShawn McCoy has been picking it up a lot more lately too.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
he's he's been a big factor for him. The one thing that was also kind of interesting and almost kind of weird in a way is they went into halftime. I can't remember. They were tied up, but Patriots got a touchdown late in the second quarter, right before the half. So they're trailing by 7 at that point.
Right.
And
Right before that.
yeah, so when they come back before the third quarter starts. They interviewed Rex Ryan, and they said, well, what are the adjustments that you should make and now everything. And he went right into all of these defensive adjustments, which Rex Ryan is definitely well known for being a defensive coach. That's what he's known, and I get it. I understand like he's focusing on his defense and everything, but the talk was, well, why aren't you focusing on that Sammy Watkins hasn't made a reception yet the first half?
Yeah,
And in a
yeah,
way, that almost might be Rex Ryan's flaw. If you come out to some of these, he does focus on his defense, which is good because I mean his defense is solid, and I understand that. But you also need to put some focus on your offense a little more too, because when you have someone like Sammy Watkins and you don't have an answer, you don't even address that Sammy
right.
Watkins isn't being targeted. Maybe this is something you need to focus on.
Ryan needs. He's never had an offensive coordinator. I think that really dictate take advantage of the situation and just take charge, I guess, of a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of coaches, I know the Saints run it this way. The defensive coordinator, for the most part, calls the defensive plays because Sean Payton's an offensive-minded guy, and a lot of teams do stuff like that. And I think Rex Ryan really he just hasn't found the right offensive coordinator to call offensive plays.
Yeah.
Just run the offense for him because he's a defensive minded coach. He can, part of the training and the recruiting process and contracts and all the willing and dealing. And I think he's great at that. But he just needs someone with a little extra oomph to help him with the offense. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of how all the Ryans think. It's
Yeah.
how his brother is. That's how the daddy was. He was a defensive guy. So
Yeah.
it's just hard nosed Ryan style football.
Right.
So I think that wraps it up, huh?
Oh, definitely. It's a good wrap up. So I think with all of that, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter with the description in the link below. And, you mentioned it before, and I think you're absolutely right. Thursday night this week, Thanksgiving Day, triple header is going to be amazing. I'm very excited for it. We'll have all of our coverage for it. We'll still have our late call. Uh, I think we're going to continue with the blitz. So we could maybe
Yeah,
kind of
we're playing one. So
yeah. So we'll definitely keep
as
going
much
with
as
that.
we're playing the game. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then with that, Monday night wraps up the entire week, huh?
Yep, think so.
Yeah. So news, comment, follow us. Make sure to keep watching. We
Gobble
love
gobble.
hearing from you.